So, do you want to know what it's like to live in Nashville, Tennessee, or even compare it to the surrounding cities? Well, that's what we're going to do next. So, stay tuned. This is Tiffany Gudger with Tiffany Gudger Real Estate right here in Nashville, Tennessee. If this is your first time to our channel, then welcome. And if you want to know everything there's to know about living, eating, sleeping, working, breathing, and playing in the Nashville and Middle Tennessee areas, make sure you click subscribe and hit that little bell so you're notified every time we do a new video. We get people reaching out to us all the time and we love it. So give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, days, nights, weekends, however you want to get a hold of us. We've got your back when moving to the Nashville and Middle Tennessee areas. So today we're going to talk about what it's actually like to live here in Nashville, Tennessee and the surrounding areas. For those of you that don't know, Nashville is right in the middle of Tennessee, and it is comprised pretty much of two main interstates that kind of split it into quadrants. So there is I-65 that runs north and south, and I-40 that runs east and west. For Nashville to be the state capital, it's really not that big of a city. It does have lots of awesome neighborhoods and little areas within it. For example, there's East Nashville, which is comprised of a bunch of other neighborhoods within East Nashville. There's 12 South, which is one of Nashville's most walkable neighborhoods. It's a half-mile stretch of 12th Avenue South with lots of restaurants, shops, stores, homes, boutiques. Then there's Germantown, which is a historic community just northwest of downtown. Lots of parks and critically acclaimed restaurants, beautiful homes, more boutiques and that kind of stuff. Then there's Green Hills, which is a more affluent suburban area with upscale shops and boutiques. It is also home to Bluebird Cafe, which if you've heard of any of the songwriter rounds that happen in Nashville, the Bluebird Cafe is one of the most popular to check out, and lots of other shops and restaurants in Green Hills Mall, which has a lot of more affluent stores in it when compared to some of our other malls. Then there's the Gulch, which is a revitalized old industrial area. It's another walkable area with boutique hotels and high-rise condos and tons of restaurants and shops. Then there's Midtown, which is close to downtown, and Vanderbilt, which has more great restaurants and bars and is also really walkable. And there's a lot of other neighborhoods that I could spend an entire video and then some talking about. But with those, you kind of get the gist of what actual Nashville city limits has to offer. Each neighborhood is known for its distinct vibe and feel and has their own certain spots for hanging out. So as you get familiar with the areas, you will learn which restaurants and bars and shops and that kind of places are the hangout spots in each neighborhood. When it comes to living in Nashville, there is so much to do here. You will never be bored. For example, just last week, I randomly decided at the last minute that I wanted to take my boyfriend on a surprise date night, and I randomly got us tickets to the Eric Clapton concert downtown. So we went, had Italian, and went and saw Eric Clapton just on a random Tuesday night. So there's all kinds of things like that happening all the time that you can go check out. There's lots of restaurants, everything from your high-end steakhouses to really popular smaller mom and pop places in a strip mall. If there is if I want fried chicken or if I want Italian or something like that, there's always somewhere close by that I can go get that from. You're really never going to be far from all kinds of different foods. And for someone like me, that can be kind of tough because it's hard enough for me to decide what kind of food I want. So then not only do I decide what I want, but where do I want it from, because there's always too many options. So it can be a little frustrating if you're like me that sometimes has a hard time making decisions. There's also lots to do outside with the lakes and the rivers and walking trails and the greenways. So it's not just a city atmosphere. There is lots of outdoor, more rural type activities to do as well. There's lots of festivals, sporting events. We have the Tennessee Titans and the Nashville Predators for hockey, and all kinds of sporting events going on all the time. And so these are just to name a few of the activities there are here to do. So if you want to know more about that, you can actually go check out my video, 23 things to do in Nashville, and actually dive into that a little more. But overall, the point is, there's a lot to do here in Nashville and you're not going to get bored. Also, if you're not aware, Nashville is one of the top tourist destinations in the country. So aside from that, in regular traffic for business commuter hours, traffic here can be pretty bad. So like I said, going into the city in the morning and out of the city in the afternoons during the work week can be a little challenging. And then almost any time when you're right downtown and in the middle of the city, there's going to be traffic between people getting to and from work, going on their lunch breaks, or just all of the tourists that are coming here. And not just do we have a lot of tourists, but a lot of people are moving here as well. So Nashville is growing like crazy. And with all of these people moving here, a lot of companies are moving here as well. So we're seeing just a ton of growth in Nashville right now. For example, lots of tech companies are moving here, especially as people are figuring out that they can work from home. Companies are relocating, people are relocating, and people like to be here in Nashville. We're pretty central in the United States. And so it's kind of easy to get wherever you need to get just from our airport here. Aside from that, we have lots of healthcare jobs. You don't have to just be a country music singer or aspiring artist to move here for a job. Lots of people do it every day. And while Nashville also has that big city life and the big city feel, there's also pretty rural and suburban parts about it. You don't have to go very far to just have like a back roads drive and feel like you're more out in the country. There's a lot of back roads even just in Nashville with really pretty views, just two little lanes that get you to and from some of the bigger parts of the city. And for a Southern girl like me, Nashville kind of feels like a big city, or it is a big city in my opinion, just from where I grew up, but it still has its Southern charm. Most people think that Nashville is just one big country music video all the time. And yes, if you go to Broadway, it will kind of feel like that sometimes, which is right downtown, which is our line of all the bars and honky tonks and live music. But Nashville really is so much more than that. And while yes, I do love country music, I always have, most of my friends, or at least a lot of them, could really care less about it. Most people don't know how truly diverse it is here. And yes, Nashville is considered to be in the Bible Belt. It is pretty religious here, but it's not just your Southern Baptist or your Catholics or anything like that. There's actually lots of different places of worship for all different religions here in Nashville. So that's one thing I wanted to point out. As I've had people moving from California and different places, they've all been able to find something that suits their beliefs. Also, for those of you who don't know, Tennessee is primarily a red state. And there are a lot of gun-toting citizens here. Here in Tennessee, everyone over the age of 21 can open or conceal carry here. And most of the people here that do carry have grown up learning how to handle pistols and guns, and it's a way of life. I've grown up around guns my whole life. My parents were law enforcement, and I have learned how to treat them with respect, along with a lot of people that do carry here. And I'm not gonna say you're gonna see just people everywhere with pistols on their hips, literally everywhere you go. It's not that common, but I honestly feel safer that people who have grown up respecting guns and carrying guns might be around me at any given point. It's a safety factor for me because it is a way of life for the people here. It's something to be respected, and it is something that could be a little shock to some people that are coming from places where that's not a thing. So living here in Tennessee, people kind of love their guns. And like I said, it's a way of life here. People grow up hunting and learning where their food comes from. So I am a fisherman and I hunt, and I like to provide for my family in that way. And so it's more than just what the media makes it look like. Here in Tennessee, again, it's a lifestyle and something that is part of people's heritage. And while the major cities here in Tennessee are more evenly split as far as politics goes and beliefs. The suburbs and the urban areas are definitely going to lean a little more conservative. So that's something to make note of, and that's just part of living here in Tennessee. That being said, for the most part, people here are also very respectful of different beliefs other than theirs. Now, I know there's exceptions to every rule, and some people don't like anybody that believes anything different than them and, all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, like I said, people are okay if you believe something different than them or have a different value or something like that. We're a little more understanding than maybe in some other places. I have plenty of friends that have a different political stance than I do or have a different religion than I do, and we're still really good friends, and I love that about here in Tennessee and Nashville. People are generally really nice. You wave at your neighbors when you're walking down the sidewalk and they drive by. You say hello to someone on an elevator. Restaurant and shop owners get to know their local or their regular customers here and speak to you and learn your name. It's very friendly. Even in Nashville, that happens. So it's not just in the suburbs. Even in Nashville, I feel like people can be really, really nice and welcoming for the most part. Now, there are people that are born and raised here that get a little crazy and a little keyboard commando, even on my videos, that get upset that people are moving from other places here. So there are exceptions, again, just like everywhere, but for the most part, everybody here is really nice and really welcoming, and I love that about this place. For example, my last client, we were looking at houses one day in a new construction part of town, and there was someone there from the Chamber of Commerce, and we got to talking, and I introduced him and saying he was moving here from California, and he was super excited that he was coming, and we couldn't really get away fast enough because we had to go see other houses, and he just wanted to talk to us. And that's part of it. People just want to talk to you. They want to say, hey, how's it going? How's your mom and them? And, and just get to know you and are genuinely really caring. And my client from California wasn't used to that. And he thought it was just the greatest thing ever that someone would just be so nice to him that didn't know him and would probably never even see him again. So it's even easy to make friends here. A lot of the clients I've worked with have made really good lifelong friends in their neighborhood and that live near them where we find them a property. Because when you move here, if I help you, we'll put you in a place that's going to have like-minded people because they're people in the same walks of life and that kind of stuff. And you're going to end up making friends with your neighbors. And if you like sports or into football, there's different bars for almost every sports team. So if you're a Packers fan, there's a certain bar. If you like the Carolina Panthers, there's a certain bar. If you like a specific college football team, there's a certain bar that gets together and watches the games. So you can make friends that way. There's lots of business groups like Chamber of Commerce and different organizations that can provide networking events. And I honestly haven't met anyone yet that told me that they have had a hard time meeting people and making friends. Also know that when you get here, you're going to have visitors. So living in Nashville, everybody wants to come see you. My friends from back home, my family, they have always wanted to come to Nashville, or they've been and they loved it. And so you're going to have guests. So living in Nashville, you might want to consider an extra room for visitors because it is a place that all your friends and family are going to want to go. So they'll get to meet the new friends that you make, and it just becomes a really inviting place to show around and show off to friends and family. Another thing is, if we're going to talk about what it's like to live here in Nashville and the surrounding areas, we're going to talk a little bit about the weather because it's a little different than what people might think. The best part about the weather here in Middle Tennessee and Nashville is that we have 4 seasons, like 4 individual, perfectly distinct seasons. So fall is by far the best. I don't care what anyone says, they're wrong if they say it's not fall, because it is. I love fall and all the changing leaves and the colors. It's absolutely gorgeous. And you're really close to the mountains in East Tennessee and Western North Carolina. And going there for the fall is super, super beautiful. And I highly recommend it. The summertime can get really, really hot. It gets super humid for several weeks out of the summer, and it's almost unbearable. It's not like the dry heat a lot of people are used to out west. It's hot, sticky, humid. Springtime there's just a ton of colors and tons of green. Everything, and that sounds silly and kind of crazy, but everything is just so green and pretty. And then of course, winter, we don't have a ton of snow. And I think that leads to people don't really know what to do when it does snow. So the city shuts down for a day or two, and people just stay home for a little bit. If we even get a good snow. We did last year, but we didn't the year before. So, you know, we might get snow, we might not. If we do, a lot of times it's just a dusting. Anything more than 3 or 4 inches and people just freak out here. So yeah, 4 perfectly distinct seasons. In the spring and summer, we have lots of bugs. So that's kind of a bummer, but I don't even notice it anymore. We have allergies pretty bad in the springtime because Nashville sits in like a bowl. So everything just kind of floats around here. So there are allergies. So you get to experience all the fun things that come along with the 4 seasons, but I honestly wouldn't change it. I don't think I could ever live anywhere where I don't have that experience every year. And as far as real estate goes, there's something here for everyone. And that makes it, I think, so intriguing for people to move here. That and the fact we don't have a state income tax. But if you want to live the city life and live in a condo, you can. If you want to be 20 to 30 minutes from downtown and live on 5 acres, you can do that. You want to live in the perfect dream white picket fence, 2.5 kids kind of house in that kind of gated neighborhood. We have that too. If you want to live in a family oriented where everybody gets together and plays wiffle ball on the weekends with their kids, you live in that kind of neighborhood, we've got it. You want to live in an area where there's lots of young professionals and you can walk to bars and restaurants, we've got that. Honestly, no matter what you're looking for, where you're coming from, what you're into, we have some kind of area and property that will fit your needs. And it's super, super great when I work with clients because they're like, well, where do I even start? And once we figure out what your lifestyle is like, we can narrow down probably over half of the city and the suburbs. So there's something for everybody. And that's kind of just a generic gist of what it's like to live here. So if you have any questions about living in Nashville or the surrounding areas or what it's like, please let me know. Comment down below if there was anything in this video that you found interesting, something you didn't know, anything you'd like to add. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And again, I am here to help if you are looking to move to this area, but you have got to reach out. Otherwise, I won't know. So give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, however you want to get a hold of me. I am here to help. And until the next time, guys, we'll catch you later.